All right, this one is the MS-13 versus the Mexican Mafia and the SURENO'S in Beaumont. The MS-13 versus Mexican Mafia and the SURENO'S in Beaumont. Sit back, enjoy the ride, and let me do what I got to do. I. All right, Unique Mecca audio, man. This one here is about the MS-13 versus the Mexican Mafia and the SURENO'S in Beaumont 2022. I had left the prison system, thank God. Round of applause. Round of applause for me graduating from prison. All right? Gunshots for me graduating from prison. All right, so now, the Mexican Mafia is like the big boys, when it come to the Mexican gangs in the prison system. So the Mexican Mafia, they got the SURENO'S under them, and, the MS-13, allegedly based on the indictment that the feds put out, they was under the protection of the Mexican Mafia. See, when I was in the system, you had the Black Hand. The Black Hand is the Mexican Mafia. They used to, the feds promote this type of activity. They'll send one Mexican Mafia, one Black Hand on every compound, and he's the one that runs everything when it comes to the gangs on the compound. So you understand. Could you imagine one man come on the compound and he runs everything? That's what was going on. Now, 7 MS-13 members, they jumped multiple SURENO'S in the yard, in the unit. It started in a unit, right? So what it was is that the MS-13 felt like, allegedly, the way the government put it in the indictment, because they all got charged for RICO, racketeering, murder, and other things because, 2 inmates lost their lives. An inmate lost his life and 2 other inmates got stabbed up real bad. So the MS-13 wanted to get from under the wing of, allegedly being protected by the Black Hand. So they leaders sent out a call and told the MS-13 to go against the SURENO'S. So the alliance fell apart. So now when they did that, MS-13 stabbed the SURENO in the chest. Boom, hits him in the chest, right? Now, when he fell, they started kicking him and beating him and whooping him, and, it was nothing nice. Then they jumped up and they attacked other multiple SURENO'S that was in the area, and they started stabbing them. They was stabbing back, and they was fighting, and they was going at it. I mean, it was nothing nice. All this was in the unit. That's where it started out at. But now, you put your hand on a Black Hand in the penitentiary, and you better believe that you're going to have a flag or a bullseye on your back and the back of your head, your whole bit, because they're nothing to play with. We have to give them their props. We have to give them their props, You rat bastards and trolls gonna look to say, oh, he's giving them props. Yes, you have to give them props because the life that they chose, that they rolled in official, and there's no game playing, okay? So now, the MS-13 started stabbing the SURENO'S. The one that got stabbed in the chest, he died. Now, after he died, and he was on the ground, they were still kicking him and stomping him, and they didn't care that his body was lifeless on the ground. So if you youngins want to go to prison to experience this, all I can say is feel free to do that. They got a bed for you, and they got a concrete slab for you when they ready to 4-point you. And they got a special housing unit cell for you when they ready to, put you on detention. I was involved in all of that. So that's why I know, and I'm here to tell you in the living flesh that it wasn't worth it. You know, another inmate, so you understand, right? One inmate died, and another inmate got stabbed 45 times, but he survived. He got stabbed 45 times, but he survived. Now, do you see how dangerous this life is? Do you see why I'm trying to protect the youth from going down this path? And the crazy part is, every Sereno that was there had to get involved and fight back against the MS-13. Every black hand that was there had to get involved and fight back against the MS-13. Because if they didn't fight back, so you understand, if you don't fight back when something jump off with the car that you align yourself with or affiliated with, then at the end, they're gonna punish you because you was pump faking. So if you want to go to prison, say, I'm not running with nobody, I'm staying over here, but then you want to still hang with your homeboys, you know what I mean, from Old Block, or your homeboys from 8th Avenue in New York, or your, homeboys from 61st Street in Miami, or your homeboys from Park Place in Norfolk, or your homeboys from Southeast. You must get involved. If you don't get involved and you're aligning yourself with these men, you will be punished. You know what I mean? Now, behind all of that, so you understand, the feds don't play. This happened in the unit. They came in, the fight only lasted 3 minutes. 3 minutes, one inmate died from being stabbed in the heart. Another inmate was stabbed 45 times, and another inmate was also stabbed multiple times. In 3 minutes. That's all it took, 3 minutes, to terrorize each other. So you understand. Now, the 7 that was charged are facing, for the murders and assault, is facing the death penalty. Just so you understand, you're facing the death penalty. So while you're facing the death penalty, you could lose your life for taking a life in prison. The feds don't care about the life that was taken in prison. Not one bit do they care about the life that was taken in prison. The bottom line is to deteriorate you from trying to take a life, because if you take an inmate's life, they're concerned that you might wind up taking a correction officer's life. So that's why they treat it so seriously, where they look at us as nothing, as scumbags, as the worst that society has to offer, as they put in my papers. After they done beat me down in Lewisburg, broke my ribs, knocked my 4 front teeth out with an axe handle, left me tied up in the basement for 18 hours. Welcome to the penitentiary. Welcome to having your own story so you can start your own YouTube channel. If it takes for you to go to prison and screw your life up to get a reputation so that you can be like Unique as a legend on YouTube and tell these stories, I'm telling you it wasn't worth it. But I'm telling you, if you choose to do it, make sure you play by the rules and don't tell on your comrades. Look at these men behind me. Could you imagine these men behind me attacking you, pushing cold steel in your body, punishing you? That's what go on. That's prison. Cash App on the screen. I don't care if it's $1. There's no number 1 in my last name. It's HALL, not HA number 1L. None of that. You know what I mean? Make sure you hit the logo and it says it was created in 2020, not 2023. All right? So now, this is where we at. So they all facing the death penalty. So when that happens, they send them to a little county jail. And they usually put them all on the same range, and they just sit there for about 2 years while they gather evidence and drag it out and wait for someone to flip. Because, yes, men flip on the inside, too, Dude might have been getting ready to go home, and now he's looking at life sentence because someone got killed, and he didn't even push the knife, but he's a Sereno, and he got picked up, or he's a MS-13 or a black hand, and he got picked up. Had nothing to do with it, but they put you on the indictment because it's a RICO, so they could say that you ordered it. You passed the note that said to commit the murder. You know what I mean? You verbally passed the word that the word came down to commit the murder. And this is what go on. And that's how simple it is to lose your life in the feds. That's how simple it is. Two things they don't tolerate in the feds. One, the main one, is putting your hands on a correction officer. Two, is not working, or should we call it encouraging a group demonstration is what they call it. If you don't work and you're telling others that they shouldn't work, because when I first got locked up, we had the Unicore, which we found out the Unicore was what was the fuel to fund the engine to make the prison train move forward, was us working in Unicore, making these, bunk beds, mail bags in Atlanta, cushions and furniture for chairs in Colorado, electrical wires in Lum Park. I was in Lum Park, California, 2001, right? To show you how crazy this is. I'm in Lum Park 2001, and they give me a job in the Unicore factory. I wasn't going because I've always been told that you don't work for the Unicore because that promotes the fuel for the engine to keep the prison train moving forward. But when I got out there, all the homies was there. So I guess it was more like, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, or monkey see, monkey do. Go ahead, you rat bastards. Call me a follower or whatever you choose. All right? Now, I go work in the Unicore factory because all the homies is out there. They getting a little $200-300 a month. Some getting $600 a month. Now, the jobs on the compound pay $5 a month. You know what I mean? Maybe $20-30 a month is what they pay on the compound. But when you go to Unicore, you start getting a couple of hundred. You start off at over $100 a month. $100 a month put food in your locker for you to eat for the month if you got no one sending you anything. Now, I'm out there in the Unicore factory, and it's just as segregated out there because you got all the SURENO'S work over here on, cable line number 3. You got all the, GDs on cable line number 4. You got all the SURENO'S, over here at line 3 with them. And I mean, it's just crazy. So when you walk in there, you got to stay away from these territories. Like when you're in the unit, they got the TVs segregated where you have, a Sereno TV, a Python TV, a white TV, a black TV, a blood TV, a Crip TV. And the administration gives you this and allows this type of behavior. So now you got your own TV and no other race is allowed to touch your TV. If they touch your TV, it's the ultimate disrespect to your car where now you have to stab the person that touched the TV. You can imagine what it was like when I first entered the West Coast, and there's nobody in the day room. They got me in a cell by the SURENO'S and the Pythons, and every day they used to watch Jerry Springer, Jenny Jones, and Richard Bay, and all of the talk shows. And I loved it. So I sat there for the ism, schism, and the gossip of the talk shows. And I sit there and I watch it with them. And then one morning, I get up and I come out the cell, and there's nobody in there. The TV is on the Spanish news channel. There's nobody in there, but there's a little Spanish dude working out in the workout room. So I'm looking around, I don't see nobody, and Jerry Springer is about to start. So I go downstairs and I turn the TV to Jerry Springer. This little Spanish man that was working out in the workout room, he comes out and he tell me, "Hey, you're not allowed to touch our TV, essay." I said, "Nah, ain't nobody in here." So I just went ahead and put it on Jerry Springer because I know y'all always watch it, so somebody forgot to put it on it. He said, "Yeah, well, you ain't allowed to touch it, I said, "Hold on, you tell me you ain't allowed to do what?" You know what I mean? So now I'm about to get offended because you telling me I can't touch a government TV. I'm unique. I'm from the East Coast. I do what I want to do, not what I'm told to do. So now it's about to get heated. And here comes my little man, Fred, a Mexican brother that I was in Lewisburg with, and then I was in ADX with, so me and him have a great rapport. So Fred come down there, And he tell his man to stand down, and he pulls me aside, and he explained to me the mechanical running of the TVs and TV rooms out west. He said, Unique, you my brother. You could have anything I want, anything I own. You know what I mean? And whatever you need, I got you, you know? But you're not allowed to touch our TV. I said, dude, you know how that sound? You telling me what I'm allowed to do? He said, Unique, I know you from the East Coast. I was in Lewisburg, so I know y'all mentality, but I'm letting you know out here in the West, don't take it offensive. We not allowed to touch the BET TV. So it goes both ways. You know, we police each other. We know that we're not supposed to touch each other's property because we're from a different car and a different race. It's the ultimate disrespect for a Mexican to go change the BET TV. The blacks would kill him. You know what I mean? He said, and you touching this TV, no disrespect, they'll kill you out here. You know what I mean? He said, if you ever want to watch the TV, look for me or one of my homeboys, and when we have the next meeting, I'm gonna let them know that you're familiar, you know. And if you want to watch something on the TV, you'll pull up on one of them and let them know to change the channel to whatever program you want. But I'm gonna say it again. Take it how you want to take it, because I'm your brother, but I'm giving it to you raw. You're not allowed to touch the Mexican TV. And we're not allowed to touch the BTV, the white TV, or the Native American TV. And I'm sitting here thinking like, whoa, what kind of policing is this? There's nobody in here and I'm not allowed to touch the TV. That sounds crazy, you know? But, you know, that ride, and we came to that understanding. Then one day, there was a white dude standing outside the black TV room looking at the football game that the blacks was looking at. The black dude that was in there kept changing it every time it was a commercial to another game. And the white dude stood out there watching the TV. Then they called a move, and all the blacks went out the TV room and went downstairs to go out front to go smoke a cigarette or whatever they went to do. And the channel that the black dude put it on, from the game that was on, the commercial was over in the other game, so the white dude wanted the TV back on the original game that they was watching in between the game they was watching in the commercials. So the white dude goes in the TV room and he changes the channel back to the original game because when they called the move, the dude didn't put it back. When they came up, they saw the channel was changed back. So the dude that was controlling the TV, he looked around. He said, yo, who changed the TV? Everybody said, nah, I was outside. The white dude is still standing outside looking at the TV. Can you believe that they went in there? You know, they came out the room and they stabbed this white dude about 80 times. I don't know how he survived. God is great. But they stabbed him 80 times, punched him over him touching the black man's TV that's owned by the feds. Gunshots, gunshots, gunshots. Welcome to the penitentiary. That's why I tell the youth that it's not worth it, don't get involved. That's the same thing that could have happened to me because I'm not immune from none of that, you know? You have to play by the rules. Just like when I say that, you know, you choose to enter the street, you get caught, you don't tell on your comrade. You play by the rules. I come from a time when they would decapitate you for telling. Now, I come home into this time and they're openly saying on YouTube that they'll tell. And they're making justification for telling. Like, I'm going to give you one for y'all to talk about, you know. Put it in the comments. I'm even going to do a short about it because my little bro was telling me to do a short about this. Let me ask y'all a question. Do you think that it's ratting if you plead self-defense in a murder case? If you plead self-defense in a murder case, do you think that's ratting? Put in the comments why or why not. Because under no circumstances, the rules say you're not supposed to have or assist, you know, the government in no conviction. You know, you're not supposed to communicate with the government. So someone tries to kill you, you defend yourself, and you winds up killing him. Can you use self-defense for your defense and not be considered a rat when you go into the federal system? Now tell me that's not a good one. Y'all put in the comments. Let's see where y'all at. Cash App on the screen. You see the game I give y'all? This is priceless game you're not going to get from anywhere else. Make sure the Cash App says it was created in 2020. Hit that logo, and there's no one in my last name. Make sure you cop the book of Roaring Harlem at roaringharlem.com. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. Hit that subscribe button at the very least. Follow me on Instagram. It's on the screen. Unique Mecca Audio, the same as this channel. Donate to the Cash App. If you can't donate to the Cash App, at least give me an emoji or, definitely like the video and definitely subscribe. And I'm good with that. Don't have no problems. So that's what happened when we deal with, the gangs. Like I said, the MS-13, versus the Mexican Mafia and the SURENO'S. The MS-13 was allegedly being protected by the Mexican Mafia, based on what the government says, and they got tired of it and retaliated and went and stabbed a SURENO that died. And then stabbed a number of other SURENOs. Like I said, one got stabbed 45 times. So welcome to the penitentiary. So if that's what you want, feel free. Look at the men behind me. I'm walking the yard in Lum Park, and there's literally about 400 or 500 of these men. And I'm looking at this like, where the hell they got me at? On the East Coast, you'll never see that many on a compound or even on the street during my day. So once I seen this, I said, man, I got to reevaluate my whole thought process and my moving and motivation, But like I said, these men was charged with the death penalty. So they were put on, on death row. I don't know what the outcome of the case is. If you'd like me to follow it up, look into it, let me know. And I got some new information on Pooh Shiesty, how he's bidding on the inside. I'm going to be breaking that down to you a little later. I'm going to be covering the FBG Dunk murder trial to break it down, simplified as your news correspondent. Okay? So make sure you look out for that. So you brothers in Chicago, I'm going to make it real easy for you to understand where the news is making it complicated because they're talking their own civilian language and we have our own language and means of comprehension, just so you understand where we at. Now, I've been on here long enough. So remember, don't go to prison, don't break the law, and stay your ass off them doggone streets because it ain't worth it. And cop the book of Roaring Harlem, and my merchandise is on the front of my YouTube channel. Cop the merchandise. All right?
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Out the can of 26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca Audio. Moving like like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a raw in uptown. Baby horn uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend it Ed. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community ours. So we can give back to the youth them. Cause they the truth them. And bless up to all the rude men.